Welcome back to Game. We told you that this conversation would continue. But before we get into it, be sure to email us at gameshowchat@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at gameshowchat. Again, we got the great Dadakuchi, my main man GQ, and today we're going to be talking about gaming franchises that should not go away, but that should come back, and what happened to them. Fellas, let the games begin.
Well, one of my favorite early, I guess you call them 120-bit, 28-bit era was for the Sega Dreamcast, was Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio, whatever you want to call it, was an amazing game. I don't know if I would call it a masterpiece, but it had the music, it had the visuals, the controls are spot on. They brought it back recently for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and I think even iOS and Android. I'm not 100% sure about that, but what have you. But that game, to me, they should have done more. They did the Jet Grind Radio future for the Xbox, and it kind of seemed like people just weren't feeling it because they simplified the controls. They still had the graphics, it looked a lot better. They still had the music. But then after that, they just let it die. Just chop right off, done, get out of here. And everybody I talked to about about their favorite Dreamcast games is that game. That game comes up in a conversation. So I definitely think something like that should come back. Who knows what system? Who cares what system? Just make it back, bring it back. I even had one for the Wii because you know how you hold the Wii controller. Now Wii is coming down because you got the crappy Wii 2 out. Yes, I said it's crappy. But if you hold the controller backwards, it's almost like a spray can. And it's motion control. They could have put it on there where you actually, like you're I thought that would have been great. They didn't bring it back, unfortunately. I think it should still come back. I mean, even on the Wii U, and I hate saying that, you might be able to draw your graffiti on your pad or something.
Wouldn't that suddenly become a tutorial for how to tag and do graffiti, and then next thing you know, Sega gets sued because kids going out tagging, sides of buildings and whatnot.
They got disclaimers. They say, hey, we have no responsibility.
Hey, this is America, man. Disclaimers mean nothing. The stuff that we buy raises our children. That's how it works.
Yeah, totally.
I think that piggybacking on that, a franchise that kind of was good and should come back is Onimusha.
Oh, yeah.
Onimusha was a fun, I like that game. Yeah. That was for me, that was one of the highlights of the PlayStation 2. Mm-hmm. And then they had 3 of them. The second one, I wasn't feeling too much. The third one was good. I wanted them to go back to the way the first one was, just a gritty, get in there, you can do some leveling up, but it's really gritty action, more of an action-oriented guy with just one character. I don't need to switch to like all these different people travel through time. I just liked having that one original character. It was a lot of fun to play.
I was thinking about putting that on my list when I was going over our topics. I was like, what's something that I would like to see come back? And Onimusha was one of them, but I skipped over it because of this. Now, you and I agree that this game was also PlayStation 2, in my opinion, masterpiece was Mark of Cree.
Mark of Cree was great.
That game was phenomenal. I liked the style of the control, how you locked onto your people, and each button was who you were going to attack. I thought that was amazing. And they did make a sequel for it on the PlayStation 2 that seemed to nobody cared about at all.
I think for that one, didn't they switch it to his sister or his cousin or something like that?
Both players. I bought the game, and I hate to say that I didn't even play it myself. But I mean, the original one was great. I mean, we're not talking about the sequel in that aspect. We're talking about the original one. The original one is one of those games that you could sit down. Before Kratos came alive, he could have been the face of violence on Sony. Yeah. But they said, yeah, let's do Kratos. But that guy right there was pretty violent, great controls. Awesome story, great game. Should bring back. I mean, Sony, they're delaying a lot of good stuff now. Bring back some of your old stuff too.
Well, I have a game. It's a little old, but it was for the Sega Genesis.
Oh boy.
It was G.A.M.E. the Forever Man.
Oh wow.
I don't know why I want to see that game again, but I mean, I enjoyed it. And and then that, and then another game I would like to see, but this game, it'll be coming out, but due to licensing and who owns the rights, is NFL 2K football must get back into the hunt because Madden they're just not doing the public
So when EA just basically kind of locked everybody else out and got the NFL license, they pretty
ruined
much
everything.
got rid of the creativity
Because
and the competition.
I know people now that still play 2K Football 5. They play NFL 2K 5 and have updated rosters to people now based on all the abilities, that game allows you to do. And where it seems like, we're just not getting that. So even though it will be coming back, that and G.A.M.E for me is.
I agree with
everything.
G.A.M.E as one of my, not too long ago, pickups for the Sega Genesis.
Really?
I actually found a copy, and I was like, man, I'm going to buy this game. Sat down and play. The game was hard, but it was very enjoyable, and that was something I would like to see. I heard it was supposed to, I think it was like the Sega Saturn, they were going to bring it back, but then it fell apart. I mean, Sega had a lot of games that I think should come back, but they just dropped off, and now they're just sticking to what makes franchises. But I take it back even further.
All right.
NES game that I would love to see back. It's called Chrysalis.
I remember that.
Yeah, Chrysalis is a Zelda-type game, but unlike Zelda, you're not actually going after saving any princess or anything. You got to save, if I remember correctly, the world. And what I liked about it is that you had your sword, and it shot out, fireballs, kind of like in Zelda, but it wasn't based on your health. And it also got stronger. So, like, the more you leveled up, the bigger your thing became, and it had different swords that you can get and stuff into it. Really large world. I think it was basically, shadowed. Zelda cast a huge shadow over it, so a lot of people didn't play it. But I remember playing that game with my cousin when we were kids and never beating it and just friggin' wandering around just doing stuff. And it wasn't until a lot later where I said, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna beat this game. And I actually sat down and beat it. And that game was actually really, really fun.
All right, GQ.
I'm gonna swipe one off of your list that I already know is there, Tobu. Bring back Tobu, that lovely fighting game they had a really great concept with that game, but the problem is they packaged it with the demo for Final Fantasy VII. So were people buying it because they wanted to play Tobu, or were they buying it because they wanted that demo for Final Fantasy VII? I would have loved to have seen if they released that thing by itself and the demo was just, a demo disc like in PlayStation Magazine or something, because that game was fun. Mm-hmm. It had the not create a character, but it had like the customizable colors and all that sort of thing. It had an adventure mode. I mean, the game was really, really ahead of its time.
I agree with that big time. I have to admit, I was one of those people that bought the game because the Final Fantasy VII demo was in it. But when I was done playing the demo, it was only 10, 15 minutes long, and playing it over and over and over again, I said, okay, I'm gonna actually sit down and play Tobu right now. And on the PlayStation 1, 60 frames per second, high resolution for a PlayStation 1, which is like 480p or something like that. And it ran smooth and it was great. And that game definitely should come back. And they made a sequel that never left Japan.
Ugh. So these are games that you guys would definitely like to see either on the PS4 or on the Xbox One.
Tobu on PS4 I think would be amazing.
Here's another one that I liked. It was extremely super simplistic. One was a 3D. It was a 3D rage fest basically. It's like you literally, the matter you got, your health was up and you got stronger. It was almost like you were like the Hulk with a gun. Yeah. And the game was just fun. That's something that they should revisit. It's not a hard concept to sell to anybody. It's like, okay, you're in there, you're a guy, you shoot people.
And then that was another one. Bouncer. I know you guys aren't the biggest fans of it, but I'm a fan of Bouncer, from the ragdoll to even the hand-to-hand combat. And the story, it was a pretty solid story. But I think if you take that and you bring that over to a next-gen console, I think they could definitely shine.
To do what they wanted to do with it, make it everything.
Because that was like one of the PS2 launch titles. It was almost like a tech demo, but it's like you said, it had a lot of things in there that were really, really interesting. The characters were cool, so it's like, keep it going. Why not?
And then, that was a good one. We have any last ones?
I'm going to say Rogue Squadron. I know Disney owns Star Wars and LucasArts and everything else now, but put some people on it and make a good Rogue Squadron game because the technology is there. Make it awesome.
Do you have any last
Panzer Dragoon. I mean, Sega Saturn had the Panzer Dragoon series. Xbox got one of them. I think that one would be something that would be amazing if they brought back for PlayStation 4 or even Xbox One, PlayStation 4. But yeah, I think the Panzer Dragoon would probably be an awesome series of franchise to bring back.
All right, well, fantastic. Well, you be sure at home to let us know what are some of your favorite games that you like to, be brought back out to the next gen consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Be sure to email us at gameshowchat@gmail.com, as well as hit us up on Twitter at gameshowchat. For the great Dadakuchi, GQ, obviously I'm Megashaw. Game over.
able to uncover Yumemaru's identity. He is the son of a farmer.
What?
His parents were killed at war.
What?
Princess Yuki raised him.
What?
Something seems to be going on.
What?
Samanosuke, we must find a way out!